The rain poured endlessly, drumming against the windshield as the small car moved along a winding rural road. Inside sat Lili, a 17-year-old girl who pressed her forehead against the cold glass. Her eyes followed the blurry outlines of trees and fields that passed by, but her mind was trapped somewhere else, inside the wreckage of her own family. Just a month ago, she still lived in the city with her father, mother, and the life she thought was whole. But everything collapsed when her parents divorced. The shouting matches, the late-night arguments, the silence that followed, it all ended in a signature on papers she didn't want to see. And now, she was being pulled away from everything familiar to start a new life with her mother in a village she had never heard of before. Her mother, trying her best to sound optimistic, said, "Lili, this will be good for us. A fresh start. You'll see, quiet air, friendly neighbors, no more chaos." Lili forced a smile, but inside her heart was heavy. She didn't want a fresh start, she wanted her family back. After hours of travel, the car finally stopped in front of a 2-story wooden house. Its paint was fading, and ivy climbed along the walls. The windows looked clouded, as if dust had settled for years. Lili stepped out, clutching her jacket tighter as the cool wind brushed her skin. "Here we are," her mother said with false cheer. "Our new home." But to Lili, it didn't feel like home. The house loomed over her, silent, watching. That night, after unpacking in her new room, Lili sat on her bed staring at the furniture. The air was damp, carrying a faint smell of old wood. Against the far wall stood an antique mirror, taller than her, framed with carved patterns that looked almost like twisting vines. Its surface was dusty, yet something about it made her uneasy. As she reached out to wipe the glass, her reflection seemed off. For a second, she thought she saw another figure standing behind her. A small shadow, about the height of a child. Lili gasped and spun around. Nothing. The room was empty, only her bed, her boxes, and the silent mirror. "Get a grip," she whispered, shaking her head. "It's just stress." The days that followed were quiet. Too quiet. Lili started school in the village, where everyone already knew each other. She felt like an outsider. People whispered about her being the new girl from the city, and though some smiled, none truly welcomed her. At lunch, she sat alone, scrolling through her phone and wishing her father would call more often. At home, her mother busied herself with chores, trying to make the house livable. Lili tried to adapt, but the sense of unease wouldn't go away. Every night, she heard faint sounds, the creak of footsteps on wooden floors, the echo of whispers she couldn't quite understand. And always, the mirror in her room seemed to watch her. One evening, as the wind rattled the windows, Lili sat at her desk trying to do homework. Suddenly, she felt a cold draft sweep through her room, though the windows were shut. She looked at the mirror, and froze. Her reflection was there, but faintly, another figure stood next to it. A boy. His face blurred, his body transparent. He looked no older than 10, his eyes wide and sad. Lili's breath caught. She blinked once, twice. The figure remained for a heartbeat longer, then vanished. Her hands trembled as she whispered, "No, it can't be real." When she told her mother later, her mother only sighed. "Lili, honey, I know it's been hard. You're just under stress. Sometimes the mind plays tricks when we're tired." But Lili knew what she saw. The following night, unable to sleep, she sat on her bed staring at the mirror. Moonlight spilled through the curtains, casting pale light across the glass. Hours passed. Her eyelids grew heavy, and just as she was about to drift off, tap. Her eyes snapped open. The sound came from the mirror. A light tap, as if someone had pressed a finger against the other side. "Who's there?" she whispered, her voice trembling. The glass fogged slightly, and letters began to form, drawn by an unseen hand. "Don't trust the house." Lili's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. She stumbled backward, knocking over a chair, her eyes glued to the words. But within seconds, the fog faded, and the message disappeared. The mirror reflected only her pale, terrified face. The next morning, Lily's mother noticed her red eyes and pale complexion. "You didn't sleep well?" she asked. Lili hesitated. If she told her mother again, she might just dismiss it. So she forced a weak smile. "I'm fine, just too much homework." But inside, her mind raced. Who was the boy in the mirror? What did he mean by "don't trust the house"? The fresh start her mother promised suddenly felt like a trap. The house wasn't just old, it was hiding something. And Lili knew she had to uncover the truth before it was too late. The wind howled through the cracks of the old wooden house that night, carrying with it a chorus of faint whispers. Lili lay awake, her blanket pulled up to her chin. Every creak of the floorboards, every sigh of the house made her skin crawl. She tried to convince herself it was just the wind. But deep down, she knew something wasn't right. By morning, she was exhausted. Her mother was already downstairs preparing breakfast. The smell of fried rice filled the kitchen, a comfort against the chill of the morning air. "You should eat well before school," her mother said warmly, sliding a plate toward her. Lili managed a smile. "Thanks, Mom." But as she ate, her eyes wandered to the living room. An old family photo, one that came with the house, hung crookedly on the wall. It showed a family of 4, a father, a mother, a teenage girl, and a young boy. Their faces were smiling, yet something about their eyes unsettled her. They looked hollow. At school, things weren't easier. Lili walked through the hallways with her books hugged tightly to her chest. Whispers followed her, though this time they weren't from the house. They were from her classmates. "That's the girl from the old Marwater house," one boy murmured. "Didn't that family disappear?" Another replied. Lili froze. Disappear? She wanted to ask, but when she turned, the students pretended they hadn't said anything. The rest of the day passed in a haze. Teachers spoke, but Lili's mind was elsewhere. The house's history. The boy in the mirror. The warning written in fog. That night, she decided she couldn't ignore it anymore. She sat in front of the mirror with a notebook in her lap, determined to wait for the boy to appear again. Hours passed. The ticking of her clock grew louder with every second. Her eyes burned from staying open. Then, tap. Her head snapped up. The boy was there again, his faint figure outlined in the glass. His lips moved, but no sound came out. "Please." Lili leaned forward. "Please what? What do you want from me?" His face pressed closer to the glass. His eyes glistened with tears. "Find me," he mouthed. Before she could respond, the mirror shook violently. The glass rattled, and then, silence. He was gone. Her heart thundered. She scribbled the words in her notebook. "Find me." The following afternoon, unable to keep the weight of it inside, she approached her only friendly classmate, Aga, a quiet boy who often read alone under a tree. "Can I ask you something?" she began cautiously. Aga looked up from his book. "Sure. You know the Marwater house? The one I live in now?" His expression changed instantly. His easy smile faded into unease. "Why? I just heard people talking. Something about the family who lived there before." Aga hesitated. Then, lowering his voice, he said, "No one talks about it openly, but they say the Marwater family vanished overnight. Some say they left without warning, others," he glanced around before whispering, "others say the house kept them." "The house kept them?" Lili repeated, her stomach twisting. Aga nodded. "My grandmother used to warn me never to go near it." That night, the whispers grew louder. Lili woke to hear them swirling around her room, soft and hissing. She sat up, her heart hammering. From the corner of her eye, she saw movement, the mirror glowing faintly in the dark. Slowly, she approached. The boy was there again, clearer this time. His face pale, his small hands pressed against the glass. "Help me," he mouthed. Lili swallowed hard. "Who are you?" she whispered. He looked down, then raised a hand to point at the family photo hanging in the living room. Her breath caught. The boy was the same child from that photo. The next morning, Lili stood in front of the crooked photo. Her mother was out buying groceries, so the house was silent. She studied the picture, her fingers tracing the boy's outline. And then, something odd, there was a faint scratch on the frame. She leaned closer, for words were carved into the wood. Not our real child. Lili's blood ran cold. The boy in the mirror. The whispers. The warning. It was all connected to this family. She stepped back, the floor creaking beneath her. The house seemed to groan, as if waking. Suddenly, she felt the air shift. Heavier, colder. And then, behind her, a whisper clearer than ever before. Lili. She spun around, her eyes wide. No one was there. But when she turned back, the photo was no longer straight. It was upside down, the boy's smile now an eerie frown. Lili's hands shook as she grabbed her phone to call her mother. But before she could dial, the mirror upstairs banged so hard it echoed through the entire house. She froze. The boy wasn't just trapped in the mirror. He was trying to break free. And whatever truth lay buried in the Malwater family's past was about to pull Lili into it. The night was heavy with silence. Lili lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to the faint sound of her own heartbeat. The echo of the boy's whisper, "Find me," haunted her like a broken record. She couldn't ignore it anymore. The next morning, she gathered her courage and decided to explore the house more thoroughly. Her mother noticed her strange behavior. "Why are you pacing around, Lili?" her mother asked while folding laundry. "Just curious," Lili replied, forcing a smile. But her eyes kept darting toward the old wooden staircase leading to the basement. A staircase her mother had warned her never to use. That afternoon, when her mother left for the market, Lili seized the chance. She took a flashlight and slowly descended into the basement. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts, and the smell of damp would filled her nose. The beam of her flashlight fell on stacks of old boxes. Some were labeled with faded writing. Malwater, 1995. Her hands trembled as she opened one. Inside were children's clothes, neatly folded but covered in dust. She pulled out a small sweater, blue, with a patch of a smiling sun sewn onto it. Something about it felt familiar, though she didn't know why. Suddenly, she heard it. A soft thud. Then another. It was coming from beneath the basement floor. Her heart pounded. Slowly, she crouched down and pressed her ear against the wooden planks. Faintly, she heard it. Knocking. Knock. 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 She gasped and stumbled back, dropping the flashlight. The light rolled across the floor, landing against the wall where she noticed something strange. A trapdoor, almost invisible against the wood. With trembling hands, Lili pulled at the rusty handle. The door creaked open, releasing a gust of icy air. A narrow staircase descended into darkness. For a long moment, she hesitated. Every instinct told her not to go down. But the boy's words echoed in her mind. "Find me." Clutching the flashlight, she stepped into the darkness. The stairs creaked beneath her feet, and the smell of earth grew stronger. At the bottom, she found herself in a small underground room. The walls were lined with old, peeling wallpaper. In the center of the room sat a broken rocking chair, swaying gently as if someone had just left it. On the far wall, scratched into the plaster, were words written over and over again. "Not ours. Not ours. Not ours." Her chest tightened. And then she saw it, a small wooden box in the corner. Dusty. Locked with a rusted clasp. She bent down and opened it. Inside were documents. Hospital birth records, photographs, even a bracelet with a newborn's name on it. Her flashlight trembled as she read the name. Lili. Her breath caught. What? The documents revealed something terrifying. 2 babies born the same day, in the same hospital, swapped at birth. One was her. The other, the Malwater child. The truth struck like lightning. The boy in the mirror wasn't just some ghost haunting her. He was the other child. The real son of her parents. And she, Lili, was never meant to be in this family. Her legs went weak, and she dropped the papers. The rocking chair suddenly stopped moving, the air in the room freezing. Then, Lili. The voice came from the mirror on the wall. She hadn't noticed it before. A tall, cracked mirror standing against the far side of the room. The boy appeared once more, clearer than ever, his eyes full of sorrow. "You're in my place," he whispered. Lili's body turned cold. "No, that can't be." The boy raised his hand, pressing it against the glass. "They took me. They left me here. You lived my life." Tears burned Lili's eyes. "I didn't know. I never knew." But the boy's gaze darkened. "Now it's time to trade back." The mirror vibrated, the glass cracking in spiderweb patterns. Lili screamed and ran up the stairs, slamming the trapdoor shut. That night, she couldn't sleep. Her mother noticed her pale face at dinner. "Are you sick?" her mother asked. Lili shook her head, forcing herself to eat. But her mind raced. Should she tell her mother the truth? Should she confess that she wasn't their real daughter? She couldn't. Not yet. Later, as she tried to calm herself in her room, the lights flickered. The whispers returned, louder, angrier. Shadows stretched across the walls, forming the outline of the boy. "Trade, trade, trade," they chanted. Lili covered her ears and cried, "Stop it!" But the mirror glowed again, and the boy stepped closer than ever. His hand almost reached through the glass. "Your life is mine," he whispered. The next day, desperate for answers, Lili ran to find Aga at school. "I need your help," she begged. "It's about the Malwater family." Aga's eyes widened. "You went into the basement, didn't you?" She nodded. "I found documents. The boy, he's me. Or at least, he should have been me." Aga went pale. "Lili, if that's true, then, you're living his stolen life." Her voice cracked. "But what am I supposed to do?" Aga hesitated, then whispered, "Maybe the boy doesn't just want to be found. Maybe he wants you to take his place." That night, Lili refused to sleep. She sat by her window, staring out into the dark yard. But no matter how much she resisted, the house had other plans. The lights flickered again. The air turned icy. And then, from the hallway, she heard the sound of small footsteps. She grabbed her flashlight and stepped into the corridor. The footsteps grew louder, leading her to the basement door. It creaked open on its own. From the darkness below, the boy's voice rose. "Come back to where you belong." Lili's grip tightened on the flashlight, her whole body shaking. She knew she couldn't run from the truth forever. The boy wasn't going to stop. The house wasn't going to let her go. And deep down, she feared that the only way to survive was to face the trade. The following days felt like a blur. Lili moved through school and home like a shadow of herself, her mind trapped in the terrifying discovery she had made. The boy was no longer just a reflection. He had become a presence that followed her everywhere. Every mirror, every window pane, even the shiny surface of a spoon at dinner seemed to reveal his face. His eyes always carried the same demand: "Trade with me." One evening, while her mother prepared dinner, Lili sat on the porch with Aga. She had told him everything. The documents, the whispers, the boy demanding a trade. Aga chewed on his lip nervously. "So, what are you going to do? Pretend you never saw anything?" "I can't," Lili whispered, gripping her knees. "He won't let me. Every night, he comes closer. If this keeps going, I think he'll drag me into the mirror." Aga's face paled. That's not just a ghost, Lili. That's a spirit with unfinished business. If he's the real son of your parents, then maybe he feels cheated. Maybe he thinks the only way to make it right is to switch back. But how? Lili's voice cracked. "If I give him my life, where will I go?" The air grew colder around them, as if the boy himself had been listening. That night, Lili sat on her bed, hugging her blanket tightly. She had locked her mirror inside the closet, but even then, faint knocks echoed from within it. Knock, knock, knock. Her chest tightened with fear. Suddenly, her bedroom lamp flickered, then burst with a small pop, plunging the room into darkness. The closet door creaked open. From the gap, the mirror glowed faintly, and the boy's pale figure stepped out. Not just a reflection this time, but a shadow forming into something solid. His voice was a whisper and a command at once. "It's time." Lili shook her head violently. "No. This is my life now. I don't even know who I am without them." The boy's eyes darkened. "You know the truth. You were never theirs. I was. You've lived in my place long enough." He stretched out his hand. The air around him shimmered, and suddenly, Lili felt herself being pulled forward. Her body dragged toward the glowing mirror. "No!" she screamed, clawing at her bed frame, kicking her legs, desperate to resist. Her scream brought her mother running. She burst into the room, flipping on the hallway light. "Lili, what's happening?" The glow vanished. The boy disappeared. Only the mirror remained, cracked and silent. Tears streamed down Lili's face as she collapsed into her mother's arms. Her mother stroked her hair, whispering, "It's just a nightmare, Lili. You've been so stressed lately." But Lili knew it wasn't a nightmare. She had felt the boy's icy grip pulling her away. The next morning, Lili skipped school and went back to the basement. She had to see the documents again. She needed proof, something to show her mother. She found the trapdoor, forced it open, and descended. The underground room felt even colder than before. The rocking chair swayed on its own, groaning in the silence. When she opened the wooden box, the documents were gone. Her hands trembled. No, 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 no. In their place sat a single piece of paper. She unfolded it with shaking fingers. One life for another. Midnight. Terrified, she ran to Aga's house. He listened carefully as she showed him the note. "This isn't random," he muttered, pacing. "It's like a ritual. Midnight. That's when the veil between our world and theirs is thinnest. If he drags you through the mirror then, you won't come back." Lili clutched his sleeve. "So what do? I don't want to disappear." Aga swallowed hard. "Then we have to stop him. Somehow, you have to show him you belong here too. Spirits like him, they hold on to anger and sorrow. If you can break that, maybe you can keep your life." Lili nodded, though her heart pounded with dread. Midnight was only hours away. That night, the house seemed alive with tension. The walls groaned, the lights dimmed without reason, and the cold seeped into every corner. Lili sat in her room, clutching her flashlight and the cross necklace her mother had given her when she was little. The clock ticked closer to midnight. Then, without warning, the mirror glowed again. The boy emerged, clearer than ever, his figure almost fully real now. His expression was no longer sorrowful. It was determined. "It's time," he repeated, his voice echoing like a chorus. Lili stood, her legs trembling. "No. This is my life now. I won't trade it." The boy's eyes narrowed. "Then I'll take it." He lunged forward, the mirror expanding like a doorway of swirling glass. A vortex of icy wind pulled at her hair and clothes, sucking her toward it. Lili screamed and grabbed her bedpost, her feet sliding across the floor. The boy's hands reached out, brushing against hers with a freezing touch. "Give it back," he roared. At that moment, her mother burst into the room again. "Lili." The sight froze her in horror. Her daughter was being pulled toward the glowing mirror. Without thinking, her mother rushed forward and grabbed Lili's arm, pulling her back with all her strength. But the boy only pulled harder. "She's mine," he shrieked. "No," her mother cried out, tears streaming down her face. "She's my daughter." The boy hesitated. His form flickered, the vortex shuddering. Lili realized it. The spirit was torn, not just by anger, but by longing. He wanted love. He wanted a life he never had. Through her tears, she shouted, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you lost everything, but I'm not giving up my life. I don't want to replace you, but I don't want to disappear either." Her voice cracked, full of desperation. "If you really were meant to be here, then forgive me. Please, but let me live too." For a moment, silence filled the room. The vortex weakened, the mirror's glow fading. The boy's face softened, sorrow replacing fury. His hand, still outstretched, trembled before slowly pulling back. The wind stopped. The glow faded. And then, he was gone. The mirror cracked one final time before shattering into pieces on the floor. Lili collapsed into her mother's embrace, sobbing uncontrollably. Her mother whispered over and over, "You're mine. No matter what, you're my daughter." But as Lili cried, she couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't over. Because in the silence of the broken mirror, she thought she heard it. Faint, almost lost, but still there. Trade. Not finished. The days after the mirror shattered were uneasy. Lili tried to return to normal life, school, hanging out with Aga, helping her mother at home. But the shadow of that night never left her. Sometimes, when she walked past store windows, she swore she still saw him. The boy. His reflection no longer furious, but watching. Waiting. One late afternoon, Lili was walking home with Aga. The sky was heavy with dark clouds, the air thick with the promise of rain. Aga nudged her shoulder. "You've been quiet again. Still thinking about him." Lili sighed, hugging her bag close. "It's not over, Aga. When the mirror broke, I thought he was gone. But sometimes, I hear his voice at night. Soft. Almost like he's asking again. Trade." Aga guessed. She nodded. Aga frowned deeply. "Then maybe he's still trapped, between worlds. He can't move on. And until he does, you won't have peace either." That night, the storm broke. Rain lashed the windows. Thunder rattled the house. Lili sat on her bed, staring at the pieces of the broken mirror she had kept hidden in a box. Her mother thought she had thrown them away, but Lili couldn't. Some instinct told her they were still connected to the boy. And she was right. As midnight approached, the shards began to glow faintly, like pieces of a broken star. Her chest tightened. She whispered shakily, "What do you want from me?" From the shards, a faint figure rose. The boy, fragmented, his form flickering like static. His voice was softer now, but still carried that chilling echo. One last chance. Trade. Or decide. The air grew heavy, pressing down on her lungs. Lili trembled. "I told you. I can't give up my life." The boy's face twisted in pain. "Then give me peace." Before she could answer, the shards rose into the air, swirling like glass caught in a storm. The walls of her room dissolved into a dark void. She was no longer in her bedroom. She was inside the boy's world. The void stretched endlessly, filled with reflections of moments that weren't hers. Memories of a child playing in the yard, laughing with parents she didn't know, then fading into darkness. Lili gasped, clutching her chest. These are your memories." The boy appeared in front of her, clearer than ever. His eyes shimmered with grief. "They should have been mine. You took them." Her heart ached. "I didn't choose this. I didn't ask to take your place." He stepped closer. "But you live the life I lost. And I am left with nothing." Tears spilled down Lili's cheeks. For the first time, she wasn't just afraid of him. She pitied him. She whispered, "What do you want me to do? How can I make this right?" The boy reached out, his hand trembling. "Trade with me. Just once. Step into my place, even for a moment. Let me feel what it's like to be loved." Lili's breath caught. The choice pressed down on her like a weight. If she agreed, would she lose herself forever? Or would it finally set him free? She thought of her mother, the warmth of her embrace, the way she always said, "You're my daughter, no matter what." She thought of Aga, his loyalty, his fear, but also his determination to protect her. And she thought of the boy, alone, unloved, caught in a cycle of longing and rage. Her chest tightened. If I do this, you have to let me go afterward. Promise me. The boy's flickering form steadied, his eyes softening. I promise. With shaking legs, Lili stepped forward. Their hands touched. The world shifted. For a brief, overwhelming moment, she wasn't herself. She was him. She felt the love of parents rushing into her chest. Memories of laughter, of birthdays, of comfort on stormy nights. All the things he had been denied. It was intoxicating, beautiful, heartbreaking. The boy, now in her body, looked around the void with wide eyes, tears streaming down his face. So, this is what it feels like. Lili, inside his form, whispered, yes, this is love. And now, you can let go. The void began to collapse. The memories around them dissolved into light. The boy turned back to her, still crying. Thank you. You gave me what I needed. I can rest now. Slowly, he released her hand. His figure dissolved into thousands of glowing fragments, scattering into the darkness like fireflies. The shards of the mirror fell to the ground with a final, gentle sound. And Lili was back in her room, alone, trembling, but alive. Her mother rushed in, worried by the storm. Lili, are you all right? Lili hugged her tightly, sobbing into her shoulder. Yes, Mama. I'm here. I'm still here. Her mother kissed her forehead, whispering, you'll always be mine. The storm passed. Days turned into weeks. The whispers stopped. The reflections no longer haunted her. But sometimes, when Lili looked at the night sky, she thought she saw one faint star twinkling brighter than the rest, like a boy smiling in peace at last. And though she would never forget the horror of the trade, she also carried the truth. Love was stronger than anger. And sometimes, the bravest choice wasn't to fight, but to share.